Principia, the laws of motion. Beyond the shoulders of giants, the universal order. By Isaac Newton. Axioms or laws of motion. Law 1. Every body perseveres in its state of rest or of uniform motion in a right line, unless it is compelled to change that state by forces impressed thereon. Projectiles persevere in their motions, so far as they are not retarded by the resistance of the air or impelled downwards by the force of gravity. A top, whose parts by their cohesion are perpetually drawn aside from rectilinear motions, does not cease its rotation, otherwise than as it is retarded by the air. The greater bodies of the planets and comets, meeting with less resistance in more free spaces, preserve their motions both progressive and circular for a much longer time. Law 2. The alteration of motion is ever proportional to the motive force impressed, and is made in the direction of the right line in which that force is impressed. If any force generates a motion, a double force will generate double the motion, a triple force triple the motion, whether that force be impressed altogether and at once, or gradually and successively. And this motion, being always directed the same way with the generating force, if the body moved before, is added to or subducted from the former motion, according as they directly conspire with or are directly contrary to each other, or obliquely joined, when they are oblique, so as to produce a new motion compounded from the determination of both. Law 3. To every action there is always opposed an equal reaction, or the mutual actions of two bodies upon each other are always equal and directed to contrary parts. Whatever draws or presses another is as much drawn or pressed by that other. If you press a stone with your finger, the finger is also pressed by the stone. If a horse draws a stone tied to a rope, the horse, if I may so say, will be equally drawn back towards the stone. For the distended rope, by the same endeavor to relax or unbend itself, will draw the horse as much towards the stone as it does the stone towards the horse, and will obstruct the progress of the one as much as it advances that of the other. If a body impinge upon another, and by its force change the motion of the other, that body also, because of the equality of the mutual pressure, will undergo an equal change in its own motion towards the contrary part. The changes made by these actions are equal, not in the velocities but in the motions of bodies. That is to say, if the bodies are not hindered by any other impediments. For because the motions are equally changed, the changes of the velocities made towards contrary parts are reciprocally proportional to the bodies. This law takes place also in attractions. Rules of reasoning in philosophy. Rule 1. We are to admit no more causes of natural things than such as are both true and sufficient to explain their appearances. To this purpose the philosophers say that nature does nothing in vain, and more is in vain when less will serve. For nature is pleased with simplicity, and affects not the pomp of superfluous causes. Rule 2. Therefore to the same natural effects we must, as far as possible, assign the same causes. As to respiration in a man and in a beast, the descent of stones in Europe and in America, the light of our culinary fire and of the sun, the reflection of light in the earth and in the planets. Rule 3. The qualities of bodies, which admit neither intensification nor remission of degrees, and which are found to belong to all bodies within the reach of our experiments, are to be esteemed the universal qualities of all bodies whatsoever. We are certainly not to relinquish the evidence of experiments for the sake of dreams and vain fictions of our own devising. Nor are we to recede from the analogy of nature, which is wont to be simple and always consonant to itself. Rule 4. In experimental philosophy, we are to look upon propositions inferred by general induction from phenomena as accurately or very nearly true, notwithstanding any contrary hypotheses that may be imagined, till such time as other phenomena occur, by which they may either be made more accurate or liable to exceptions. This rule we must follow, that the argument of induction may not be evaded by hypotheses. et hypotheses non FINGO. For whatever is not deduced from the phenomena is to be called an hypothesis, and hypotheses, whether metaphysical or physical, whether of occult qualities or mechanical, have no place in experimental philosophy.